All right. So basically, the wealth principles are, in a nutshell, a way of managing your money and a way of structuring incoming money. So when a dollar comes in, it's how you cut up the dollar, is effectively what it is. Now, the reason I'm, a pretty strong advocate of this is because when I was taught this, I literally had $30 in my fucking bank account. I couldn't believe it. I literally had $30 because of a massive lack of diligence with money. It's because I used to be obviously in corporate, was used to the salary coming in. When I switched to being an entrepreneur, it's not like that. And I didn't know how to manage money properly. And I had $30. It was a very bad time, very hard time. And within about 6 months, I had 30 grand in the account, and in total, like about 60 grand has flowed through the account since that time. And I really, the more spiritual lens of, which they explain as why this happens is because money flows where it's organized the most, is basically the predominant spiritual principle they're teaching there. But I'm going to get into how you actually cut it up. Now, when the dollar comes in, here's the first thing you do. And what I'll do, I'll explain all of it. And then, to be honest, feel free to jump in at any time to answer questions, because it'll just make this more thorough. So the first thing you do when the dollar comes in is you take 10% and you put it into a savings account that you will never touch again for the rest of your life. And instead, you're just going to let it grow for the rest of your life. And the whole point of this is because one of the principles of money is that you need to have emotional stability. And basically, they call it your self-worth. Your self-worth is your net worth. I'll explain that a bit later, but basically, by you having a pot of money that just continues to grow and continues to grow and continues to grow, no matter what, it gives you, Dan Locke calls it "fuck you" money. Basically, it gives you a stability that, for example, in a job, if someone asks you to do something you don't want to do, I've got fucking 50 grand of "fuck you" money in my account. Like, I could walk away from this and it's not a problem. Is that making sense so far? So basically, the first 10% you never touch, ever. It's for a disaster, but even then, your mentality should be, I would never touch this money. And the cool thing is, like, where focus goes, energy flows, and also what you appreciate grows. So every time you look at this account, you're going to be able to appreciate it more and more and more, because every time any dollar comes into your account, 10% is going to this thing. Yeah. Now, there's not a caveat, but an asterisk with this point. Every quarter, you increase the amount that's coming in by 10%, right? So, for example, if you're on a fixed salary, who's on PAYG? Are you all on PAYG?
PAYG, but like bonus structures. So, yeah. Okay,
you got bonus structures as well, right? But basically PAYG. So let's say that you are making just call it 5 Gs a month. Then 10% when that salary comes in is 500, right? So for the first quarter, you are just putting aside 500, right? Now next quarter, you're gonna look at the 500 and you're gonna times it by 10%, right? So next quarter, you're going to be allocating 550 to this account. And quarter 3, you're going to look at the 550 and you're going to times it by 10%. And you're going to be putting, I don't know, whatever that is, right? Like 550 times 1.1. Yeah. So, or 5,000 times 0.11 or 0.12. Is that making sense what I'm saying there? Yeah. So basically what you're doing is every quarter you're increasing the your fuck you money account by 10%. Yeah.
Relevant of your income goes up or down. So you got 10%. So hypothetically, change jobs, your salary's gone down. Is it 10% of that number, or you still keep increasing it?
Good question. You're always it's always 10% of the money that comes in. Always 10%. So let's say your salary goes down and you're only receiving $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
Then you're only putting aside 200,
But then, how you mentioned you're increasing by 10% each quarter.
Right. So basically, like let's say that you're used to, let's say that you're in quarter 3, which is basically, so in quarter 2, instead of 10%, it's 11%. No,
Right.
that's making sense. In quarter 3, it's 12%. So by the time, so let's say that you change jobs in quarter 4, and you're getting paid $2,000 a month, then you're putting aside 14% into that account. 14% of 2,000 into that account.
Right. Cool.
That makes sense.
And then quarter 1 the next year is back to 10%.
No, good question. So then that's quarter 5.
Right.
14%.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, and every quarter you are increasing by 10%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and what you're going to find is that basically the reason behind that is because you're creating a subtle pressure for you to keep making more money, because every quarter you're going to be taking more and putting it into your fuck you money account.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So I call it my personal wealth account, because they basically say your net worth is your self-worth and your self-worth is your net worth. So I'll explain that later, as I said. Cool. So the second, so thank you for the questions there. So the second, I'm taking it myself. So, well, the second 10% or whatever number you can allocate is my treat account. So this is money to spend totally on yourself, and on yourself. I mean on yourself, right? Not on your girlfriend, on yourself. And this is for, like a nice coffee, a meal out, shoes, like Ricardo likes novelty stuff, whatever. Like it's just guilt-free. And if you've read Rich Dad Poor Dad, it's always saying pay yourself first. So with this in mind, you always feel your cup is getting full first, is what you feel, right? Now the 10% can vary, and I'll explain that at the end, because you have to reverse engineer it from your bills, basically. But it's approximately 10%. Now, it's my treat. The next 30% or 23% is tax. So for you guys, because you're all on PAYG, just skip this step, okay? But just for your context, if you're in a position where you have to pay your own tax, then for me, it's 23%. You've got to figure out what that tax is, and then you allocate tax next. And the relationship they want you to have with tax is that you've got to appreciate paying tax. Don't try to dodge tax. By all means, be efficient with your tax and get a good accountant and all that shit. Don't pay unnecessary tax, but be appreciative of the tax that you do pay, because it allows you to live in our country, and it pays for our roads and all of that stuff. So overall, because they say it's a poverty mentality to be trying to dodge tax all the time, So they're saying that you've got to pay tax and appreciate it. Make sense? Cool. So for you guys, it looks like you're all going to be skipping that step. Step number 3 for you, 4 for me, is tithing. For me, honestly, the most important step. So this is 10% or whatever you can afford, and it's money that you're going to give to a charity that you believe they're going to use it well. Yeah. Now, when you do this, don't do it for to claim it on your tax return. Do it anonymously. Don't attach it to your name. The reason you do this, and they teach you it this way, is because by you not dictating how you're going to receive by giving, it allows the universe to give back to you in the way the universe wants to give back to you. Sounds spiritual, but really worked for me. You changed my life.
Was there a percentage to that, or what did you say?
10% is a rule of thumb. But it's effectively, when you reverse engineer from your bills, you basically put aside what you can afford, but 10%. So, yeah, as I said, the most important thing is you don't tell anyone that it's you. You don't tell anyone about any of that stuff. You don't do it for any recognition whatsoever. You do it purely for the sake of giving. And you will allow it means that way you open yourself up to receiving in whatever way the universe wants to give to you. So it changes you from just an energetic perspective because you're just open. Ricardo, question?
Yes, I'm just curious. What happens when you have a shared account? Clearly, you got to tell the other person.
You're
not hiding it from your significant other or anything,
well,
right?
you can explain these wealth principles to her. And good question. You can explain these wealth principles to her, but then but don't tell her the charity that you're giving to.
Okay,
you know,
right. Yeah,
and I would say also
enough.
put 10%, like you can just go on the Commonwealth Bank app, you can just create more accounts. Just like, you can determine the purpose of that shared account. But basically with all of these, you know how I'm saying, good question, man. So for me, I have an account for every rung of the wealth principles.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would encourage her to do the same, and then be specific on what the purpose of the shared account is for. Is it for groceries, or is it for treats, or whatever?
Yeah, it's for bills. Yeah.
Right. Cool. So you can integrate that at the end.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, good question. Any other questions on that?
Sorry, the donation one.
Yeah.
Don't tell anyone. Don't put your name to it. So is it? I know you kind of explained it. It opens up to receive, but is it like a waste? Not a waste, but silly to not get the tax benefit of?
Great question.
Yeah.
So basically, the way they have explained it to me is that by doing that, you're dictating how you wish to receive, right? Because you're dictating that you want it to deduct your taxable income.
What if your intention is not? That's just a natural byproduct of doing it. You're not doing it for the tax return. You're doing it to donate. But I get it. I understand. But is it got anything to do with the intention of? I don't know. I'm just.
I know that your intention is pure, but this shit is very subtle. And the more for example, meditation or whatever, like all the work that we're doing together, you realize how subtle our mind actually works. And effectively, this is just going, no, I'm not doing it for any of that stuff. I'm not doing it for no byproduct, no nothing. I'm doing it to give.
Okay.
Yeah. And just try this on, man. Try it on 6 months. It doesn't work. Any other questions? Good questions. No. Okay. So I'm getting thrown off because my numbers are different from yours, but that's okay. Number 5 is rent, right? So you got to just figure out how much you spend on rent. For me, just as a rule of thumb, I put 20% aside in this account, the rent account. Rent/mortgage/board. Okay. Now, asterisks on this point. You don't give people free board for an extended period of time, and don't expect to receive free board. The reason they say that is because that creates an unnecessary debt in that relationship. Either you feel you owe a debt to your parents, or your parents feel they owe, or whoever feels they owe a debt to you. They say it's better to just pay the board, because it feels like there's a equal, the appropriate exchange going between the parties involved. Is that point making sense? Yeah. Okay. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So number 6 is food. It is groceries. So for you, it would be number 5. Groceries. So this is not dining out. Dining out's the treat. Yeah. Groceries is like what you get from Coles. And the point with groceries, the key that they tell you there is feed to nourish your mind, body, and soul. So it's just like, it's not junk food. Put this aside for good food. Cool. I put 10% in there. Okay. Everyone cool so far? Number 7 is personal. For you, number 6 is 10% for personal development / investment / holidays. So, a nice question that I often get is like, but bro, what about like all that money accruing in the wealth account? Like, don't you want to use that to put into an ETF or something like that? From my experience and also from this course, you they teach you you have to earn the right to invest. Like, just because you've got money accruing there, like the emotional stability it gives you to have it just there for you is more valuable than trying to put it away somewhere else. That's basically what they teach you. So rather put that number 7 aside for other investments, and you'll find there's plenty of money that comes to you. Any questions? Kedge, you look like you've got a question coming up there. You got is your thinking face.
Yeah, no, I was just looking there. So you got PD, investment, holidays in the same one, like in almost like the same category. So I would
right.
Holidays seems like treat versus investing in building wealth. It seems like
good question. Thank you.
Yeah,
So actually,
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. So actually, good. So that's not the same one. That is like basically step number 7 is any extra places that you want to allocate it to before bills, which is the final one. So you can have 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, and 7.1 is PD, 7.2 is a casino.
right.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. Yeah. So it's PD.
They are separate.
Says PD sorry, for the what's left over, it's what you want to put towards PD, what towards investment, how much towards holidays.
That's right.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah, and sorry, and a sub question back onto the investment one. So back onto that question you get asked a lot. Sometimes, like investment opportunities may come across a good business to invest into, or like a great property deal that has just come across, or whatever it is, and say that 10% account that you can't touch. Don't have enough here. Would you just let it pass?
Yes. Like never, ever, 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 ever touch that account.
Would you touch any of the other accounts, the MyTreat account, or?
Dude, to be honest, so as time has gone on, the less I've touched them, because just to be honest, I did touch them in the past, and I even committed the big sin, which is touching the wealth account, right? And it was like night and day. Because I'm like, dude, why don't I just put this into an ETF? There's all this money going on. Well, you know, and the minute that happened, it was just like my leads dried up. Just all this shit happened, and I felt worried again. Very, very interesting. And but the minute I started to just go, you know, like, and I just kept getting equilibrated away, like every time I deviated from this, you know. But the more I've stuck to this, the more money has come.
No, and I don't doubt it. I'm actually like very bad with managing money, so I'm like definitely like extremely. As I'm saying this, I'm reverting back to other things that I've been taught, you know, but I haven't, for whatever reason, haven't been able to execute those well, and I've still been bad with money, you know. So even though you've gone through all these wealth seminars and they teach you to X, Y, Z and do this, but it hasn't necessarily translated, you know. So that's why it's
yeah. So man, my recommendation. So let me just finish the thing, and then we'll talk about that. Okay, so so number 8 finally is bills. So the way they teach you to do this is like you got to so that's the whole principles. The way they teach you is, number 1, calculate out your bills, and this is like as I said, they have a whole course on this, but you want to get an understanding of what your expected and unexpected bills are per month. Like electricity bills, car, you know, investment, home repairs, shit like that. Like, and I will, I'm missing the book at the moment, but as soon as I find it, I will take photos of all the ideas of where your bills could come from. I've got that, and I'll send it to you in the messenger group. So this is hard work, but the more, as I said, the more I've deviated, the harder I've got equilibrated, and the more I've stuck to it, the more money has come. So I would just say, Kedge, just try it on, you know. Yeah, and I think you'll find the more you stick to it, the more it's going to come. By the way, a point about tithing is they say it's not about the amount, it's about consistency. So they said, don't worry about like, yeah, big number. Just worry about doing it often, like weekly, ideally.
And obviously for PAYG people, is it like after these 10% after tax income, pre-tax income? Does it make it?
Oh, good question. So, so because it's PAYG, the tax has already been taken out. So basically, you're just working with the money that as a rule of thumb, it's always the money that lands into that account, into your account.
Yeah.
That's what you're cutting out.
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions, but I'll let you finish.
Great.
Yeah.
Look, that's the majority of it. So basically, the most important thing is like with the bills account, you figure out your bills. If you've got some unsustainable bills, then they encourage you to call up the companies that you owe them to, and then extend up the payment plans or whatever, so that you are able to follow the principles. And then, but the account that I say like do not budge on is the 10% for the number one account. But after you've established your shop, like don't deviate from these percentages. Cool. Kids, why did you hit me with the questions?
All right. So wealth account is one that you're never going to touch, right? Yeah. So then my question is, would it be smart to then salary sacrifice and put it into your super, right? Because then not only that, because you're getting the tax benefit of reducing. So I'm obviously looking at all the ways to maximize. Then you're reducing your taxable income. So potentially saving X% there and putting it into super, but obviously then you lose the access to it. So I think part of it is knowing that you have the access to it in worst case scenarios. So
precisely.
Yeah.
And just to keep it honest, like we're reaching the cusp of like my understanding with this as well. In regards to that question, but from my experience with it, it's when every time you open your account, that wealth account is just getting bigger and bigger because you never touched it and you're always adding money to it. So it's just it gives you this feeling of almost undeniable abundance, because you've just got a pot of money that just keeps growing. And my pot of money started with like, I believe it was like $3 in the beginning that was in that account, and yeah, it's definitely in the thousands now. So yeah. Does that answer your question? So you can do the salary sacrifice stuff or flex it however the way you think is best. But at the end of the day, whatever dollar comes to you, cut it this way.
Cool.
Oh, by the way, if you for example, we're going to go out on a dinner out, or go out to buy some clothes or something like that, and someone paid for you, view that as a saving, right? Like, so basically the $60 that you were going to spend on that dinner, that you were ready to spend on that dinner, it was given to you. You know what I mean? Because someone else paid for it. So they say, like, if that happens, then make sure you cut up that $60.
Right.
Does that make sense?
How often are you thinking about it then? Because I was like, that potential.
Great question.
Yeah.
Almost daily. But what I have found, and surely you can understand this, is like, because you've allocated a specific amount of focus to this almost daily, the thing just fucking grows, because it's just like you've got like, you're basically appreciating and being diligent about your money daily. More questions?
Question about completely get Kedge's point about the super, but if I'm not wrong, the whole point of having this pot of money is to fill that, so you don't have that lack mentality in terms of money. So it's almost like if you have access to it, you don't feel stressed financially. So if it gets locked up in super, that could potentially go against theory, or am I completely off?
I think you're exactly right.
I completely get what you. Because I completely get where you're getting at here. Because so when I came back and I was, trying to save for a house and all that, I was so like, it was almost like, which I've never thought about before. I always pretty free flowing. But I was so like, I have to save everything for this house. I've just come back. I've just spent all my money traveling. I need to get back, And what I found was, because I was so overdoing the savings and so paranoid about the savings, all these like, I had issues with one of my rental properties, ended up having to fork out 10 grand to fix some stuff. I found things were evolving. So I know, so if I'm not wrong, this whole point of this is not to create a lack mentality. So I'm just, So while I kind of like what Kedge is saying with the whole practicality of it, but is it, by putting the super.
It's creating this emotional cushion, because like in those moments where I had to borrow money for rent, I definitely wasn't thinking about the fucking super money, which I can't even access. It is the liquidity.
Cool.
So this is good.
If and when it flexes, that's what I think. So it's got holidays, you allocate a certain amount, and then all of a sudden, I don't know, one of your good friends is like, if I'm getting married, wants to organize a bucks, and you've used up that holiday fund now, but fuck, like I'm going,
Do
you not go? Do you move money from somewhere else, or do you not? Or base? Yeah, I'm getting a bit nitty gritty here, but
no, Kedge, like, think about this. What we're talking about is a super level 4 thing.
Yeah.
You see that? And basically the questions are perfect, because if you don't ask them here, they're going to happen in real life, because they're just subconsciously in your mind.
Yeah.
Right? Basically, what this makes you do is be more diligent and structured and planned with all of it, including the bucks. Right? So basically, from what I have observed, your like real close friends, they're always going to be there, right? And but at a larger level, people can feel from you that this guy's fucking structured. He doesn't fuck around. He needs advance notice, and a shift happens in your life as a result of all this stuff. That's a great question.
And I think the whole point is, the reality is, when you're doing all this stuff, you're probably not going to be in that position anyway. So it's like, yeah. So.
Yeah. But you will get tested, as always. You're going to get tested, and it's and I've failed that test, and the more but failing the test makes me realize how important this is, and it's made me stick to it more. And because I've stuck to it more, it's worked more and more.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting. In the past, and this could be, I need to equilibrate these thoughts. It's like, more when I haven't focused on money, more money's come into my life, right? And I've just trusted the process, did the whatever. And it's more when I'm like stressing about money and I'm trying to save. It's like or trying to do something that's where I'm losing money for some reason, So it's like, for me, the only reason I'm asking those questions, it does trigger me a little bit. It's like, it's making me like save and do these things. And like, when I've done that in the past, and
it's not worked out,
It's not worked out. And it's more when I haven't been thinking about it, just go about and do all the good things I'm doing and do this. And it's like, whoa, this money just happened. It's just coming in,
Yeah, man. And I would say do both, So don't stop going. Like, of course you have to go out and do the good things, because otherwise it's not going to come. This is just a way of keeping it.
No, I like it. Don't get me wrong, I like it. I'm just just talking out loud. So.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. I feel the same as Kedge.
Oh, I've had the same experience too, for sure. Like, but the thing is, you're only like really, stressing about money and all that when you have been equilibrated, and you're like, oh fuck, okay, I better get this shit in mind, and then you start to notice more and more shit goes out the door, But when you're in the high, you don't notice the stuff that goes out the door, because you're in the high. It's only when you're in the low you notice stuff going out the door. So I would just say this is just adding the foundation blocks to support the high, and make sure the low is caught.
Cool. Just very quickly, so adding this up. So I've got here 10, my treat account, and that's only when it's for yourself.
Correct.
If you're shouting someone, or you're doing that, where does that is that? So this is my treat account is for you. So if you buy something for someone else, or you're going out, or you're doing it, where does that come out?
I take that from bills.
Right.
Yeah. Or however, number 7, which is the the holiday / investment / blah 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 blah. People put gifts in that as well.
Right.
So the lady one of the people who taught this to me, she's like, I believe she was Italian, so very big families, a lot of gifts.
Yeah.
So she specifically has an account there for gifts. Great question.
Oh, yeah, that's probably a good one. And obviously, relationship, you and Anna, when you're buying stuff for each other, do you as in, do you pay for your own stuff? What does that mean? So when you're going out for dinner, how do you?
So basically, what I do is, if I've shouted Anna the meal or whatever, then the half of it that was from me comes out of the treats account, and then the half that was for Anna, so it was like $23. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
thinking about that, as in, it's just how often I have to be thinking about this.
Yeah. So for me, it's a quick press of buttons. It takes about 30 seconds. No, not 30 seconds. I'm exaggerating, but within 2 minutes, you've sorted it out on your Commonwealth Bank app. And what was I going to say? So, FYI, so I have one card on my or 2 cards, like one my business card and like my personal card, where it's basically called a personal landing account. That's just what I have, and I always just keep some money in that, right? It's like a floating till, and then so that way I don't have to before I go to the register I have to do a bunch of transferring. I'll pay with that, and then I'll transfer. I'll move the money around in the accounts after that. Does that make sense? In the rare occasion that there's no money in the personal land, it's just not rare occasion. In the occasion that there's no money in the personal landing account, then that's when, before I go to the till, I'll move the money into it. Good question.
So Ricardo, the session was probably it was for you mainly, I guess. I'll let you ask some questions if you want to ask some questions.
I mean, every time I come in and I know that you're going to be there, I'm just going to bring food or something so I can, keep my mouth busy.
Yeah, go for it, man.
Please.
So I do have one question. Now, do we start from the next paycheck or do we start with the money we already have?
Great question. Honestly, man, for me, I started with the next paycheck.
Okay.
Just because I didn't know how to work it out, just to be honest. I just started with the next one. And but then as I installed this structure, the money that you do have, you can figure out where to put it, and that's probably what I because I just didn't have any money to start it off with,
Yeah.
So but yeah, because your instance is different, I would just say you've got whatever it is, right? So you got 10 grand there. Just set up your accounts on your app, and then just put them so you've got a base there. That's what I would do.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And sorry, that 10% wealth account. Sorry, I'm just trying to ask questions. Would you put more in it, or is it just 10%? It goes up to 11%, 12%, 30% every quarter. Would you ever want to put more? Where would your excess? Is your excess going into section 7? So your PV, investment, holidays, gifts. Is that where your excess is going into?
Well, that's a nice question. So to be honest, even myself, I'm not at that layer. But yeah, I would be putting it into number 7. For me, I've just been to the absolute T with the wealth account. 10%, then 11%, then 12%, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So is there a stopgap on the percentage how it's going up? Because obviously, is there a certain point where you reach, you go, okay, this is as high as you need to go, or do you just keep adding?
I think when you get to that level, ask John DeMartini. He's the one who came up with this. Yeah, but honestly, that's what I would do.
But I'm just saying, if you're not making any more money, right? You're obviously going to get to a certain stage where you're putting so much into that.
Yeah, right. But I think, the way they explained this question to me was that you're going to end up inevitably making more money because you are doing this. Because you gradually know subconsciously that you are always increasing your savings, it'll put you in a mentality where you always want to increase your money. And
Okay.
given your goal specifically, I think that's actually in line with what you're trying to do.
Yeah. This makes sense.
I guess the offset account would be a good place to put this.
Yeah, the wealth. Well, yeah, I don't see what's wrong with that.
It's, you can reduce your interest if you've got property. It's probably the best place to put it, right? I guess you don't want to touch it, reducing interest. Yeah.
There you go.
I was just thinking out loud because I was like, oh fuck, I better go and open up a savings account. But
No, I did. That's my offset account.
yeah.
Good.
So that's another interesting question. So if I was to buy property, would I use that money then? Because I was going to
Never.
use an
Never.
offset account.
It's never,
No.
ever use it.
So
Never.
only put it into an offset if you already have one.
Correct. Yeah. Never,
Okay.
just never use that, man. Cool. Everyone's had a think. Any more questions? I love this look on Kedge's face. This is the look that he gave me when I told him about the time thing. I'm gonna turn off the recording.